Preparing for an interview is 75% preparation and 25% execution. In this video, I'm going to share with you 5 of the most common issues candidates say in interviews that causes them not to get offered the job, so that you don't make those same mistakes. Stay till the end for my bonus tip on what never to say in an interview, and I'll tell you how to get my Interview Emergency Preparedness Kit absolutely free. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Stacey Davidson, founder and CEO of Virtual Job Search Coach, creator of the Power Up Your Job Search program, where I teach techniques and strategies to help you determine, pursue, and land your dream job. Having interviewed hundreds, possibly thousands of candidates throughout my career for all levels of positions, I've seen and heard it all. An interview is your time to shine and to make the best possible first impression. You have a limited amount of time to demonstrate to the interviewers that you are the best person for the job. Interviews are stressful enough without worrying about saying the wrong thing. So today I'm going to give you 5 of the most common issues that I've heard candidates say in an interview that very often has cost them the job. Now, before we jump in, please give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget, I put out one video every Friday, so hit that subscribe button, tap that notification bell to be reminded when my next video is out. So, number 1, don't badmouth your current or former employer. It's probably fair to say that we've all had at least one boss, coworker, employer, or work situation we didn't love at some point in our careers. If you've recently been terminated, then you may still have some anger, resentment, and negative feelings towards your past employer. That's completely natural, but you never want to bash your current or past employer in an interview. If you need tips on what to say when you've been fired, check out my video how to explain why you were fired, terminated, or laid off, and I'll put a link in the description box below. Firstly, bashing your former employer, boss, or coworkers reflects negatively on you, even if they were the ones in the wrong. The interviewer will be wondering if you would say the same kinds of things about them if you're unhappy in the future, so don't go there. Number 2, do not swear, use inappropriate, politically or culturally incorrect language, make derogatory statements, or use slang in your interview. That might sound like I'm stating the obvious, but a couple of months ago, as part of the hiring team with one of my corporate clients, I interviewed a woman who swore 3 times in the interview and made 2 very offensive statements, ones which I won't repeat in this video because they're not words that cross my lips. What made things worse was the 2 offensive statements were in reference to her previous employer, so she did exactly what I explained not to do in number 1. You also want to be mindful of using politically and culturally correct language so you don't cause offense. I had a client just last week apply to a company that stated very clearly on their website that they do not use the words employee or boss in their vocabulary. Everyone working for the company, regardless of the position, is to be referred to as a team member. So, in a case like this, I advise my client to be very mindful not to use those terms in her interview answers. This is why practice is so important. Number 3, salary. Don't ask about salary. If you raise the question of salary, it gives the impression that you're more interested in the money than the role, being part of the team and the company. Trust me, if the employer doesn't raise the issue of salary in the interview, they definitely will when they make you the offer. Just make sure they send you the offer in writing. So, I know it can be hard, but just be patient. I've put out a video on the topic of salary negotiation called How to Negotiate a Salary Offer, 4 Steps to Getting the Salary You Deserve. You can check it out above, and I'll put a link in the description box below. Number 4, don't say you don't have any questions. Most interviewers will ask at the end of the interview if you have any questions. Never say, "No, I don't have any questions," or "No, I think you've covered everything." I experience this so often when I conduct interviews, and it drives me crazy. Not having any questions to ask shows a lack of interest and that you didn't prepare well for the interview. There are a gazillion questions you can ask about the position, the team, management, and the company or culture. So there's no excuse not to have a list of good questions prepared. Not questions that can be easily answered through the company's website or that they may answer throughout the course of the interview. For some great question examples, check out my video, What Questions to Ask in an Interview, Why You Should Ask Them, and What Never to Ask. We're only halfway through, but if you like what you've learned so far, please remember to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Number 5, don't say you haven't heard of or used the product or service. If you're interviewing with a company that sells a common consumer product, like a grocery item, or is in an industry that you would have easy exposure to, such as a restaurant chain or a TV network, and they ask if you've ever tried or heard of their product or service, don't say no. If you're applying to a peanut butter company and you've never tried their peanut butter, then get straight out to that grocery store and find it. If they're a local restaurant chain and you've never eaten there before, try to squeeze in a dinner, lunch, or dessert a day or two before your interview so you can honestly say that you've tried their products and experienced their service. Now, obviously, only do this for a product or service if and when it's possible and practical. I'm not saying if the company sells $2,000 mountain bikes, then race out and buy yourself a new mountain bike. If it's not practical for you to try out their products or service, then make sure you do as much research as you can about their products and services ahead of your interview. Get statistical information, collect some significant positive consumer testimonials that you can quote back as a point of interest that you discovered in your research. Now, here's my bonus tip. Never say, "I really want this job," or "I really need this job." Although you may see it as a comment reflecting your excitement or enthusiasm for the job, it comes across to the employer as a sign of desperation and can be a huge turnoff. And it leaves the employer wondering if you're sincerely interested in the role and the company, or do you just need the paycheck? If it's just the paycheck, are you going to jump ship as soon as a better offer or more ideal job comes along? It costs employers thousands of dollars to hire and train people. So if you give the impression that you could be a flight risk, it may cost you the job offer. I had a woman do this in a second interview just a couple of months ago. Her last words to the hiring manager were, "I really want this job." And as I escorted her out of the office, she twice crossed her fingers and said the same thing to me as the consultant assisting the client with their recruitment. As soon as I walked back into the boardroom, the hiring manager indicated to me that the candidate appeared desperate, and that was enough for them to cut her from the final list. Lastly, I have one hot tip for you. Before an interview, it's always a good idea to run through your resume so the details are fresh in your mind, especially the areas that are of significant importance to the position that you're interviewing for. It may also be to your advantage to do a test run by yourself in front of a mirror or with a friend to help you order your thoughts in advance and avoid any of the pitfalls I just talked about. What's your biggest fear when it comes to being interviewed? Tell me in the comments section below. If you have a friend or family member who's looking for work, please share this channel with them. As a behavioral and competency-based interview expert, I'm adamant about the importance of practicing for at least a couple of weeks before you start going for interviews. Practicing a day or two before is like cramming for an exam. You won't do as well as you would if you put in the time to really study. However, I've also seen situations where someone sends out their resume and is called for an interview the next day. In fact, it's happened to 3 of my clients this past week. So when you're in a pinch, I've created an Interview Emergency Preparedness Kit with essentials to help you succeed in your last-minute interview that you can download absolutely free. You'll find the link in the description box below. If you like this video, then here are a couple of my other videos you might also like. I hope today's tips and strategies empower you to do better in your next interview. Remember to subscribe to my channel for new weekly tips. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.